Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
And what's happening with the technical side of recording now, you've got a bunch of people that just hit buttons and they don't know how to play. And everything is perfect. And there's no feel behind it. That's what's missing with music. It's just computer generated. There's nothing wrong with the computer, but if you don't know how to play an instrument and you're making music by just hitting buttons, it's, what's the use?
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome to Jackie's Groove. Hey, man, it's Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Media. Connect to all things music. It is now Wednesday, February the 21st. Where has this year gone? But I'm telling you right now, we're going to put it on pause because we're going to step back into the 80s, and we're going to talk about my in-studio guest, who I'm amazed out of all the people that we know in general and we've played with and shared the stage, why Bobby and I have not shared the stage together and or recordings. We're going to find out why, and we're going to get more in depth with this crazy man, this amazing musician called Bobby Gonzalez, or Bobby G, known to the industry. Bobby he's a funky boy, man. I'll tell you, he's the only one that, in my opinion, and forgive me, Byron Bordeaux, he's the only one next to Jimi Hendrix that sounds like Jimi Hendrix to me. Like, only one can pull it off. And also, too, it pisses me off because the man has got hair, the hair like I used to have in my high school, and the tyrant of our network who used to have hair also, Florentino. So we're going to talk about how God works in mysterious ways. So with that said, I want everybody to welcome to Jackie's Groove with open arms and open ears, my in-studio guest, Mr. Bobby G. Bobby Gonzalez, welcome to Jackie's Groove, brother. Welcome.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. I want to say hello, shout out to my daughter, Aniko, my mother, my father, my brother, Philip, and Jai, my sister, Lisa, and my heavenly father.
But, and let's talk about mom and dad, because my mom and dad's music goes back. The roots are deep, man. I mean, we're talking about long-standing
you do your homework. You're cracking me up. You do your homework. You're really funny.
Well, come on, I'm going to shock the shit out of you today. But, the fact about
we got time.
To working with Lee Greenwood, which blows me out of the water, how did that happen with the last name of Gonzalez? Did you guys get involved with Lee Greenwood?
I have no idea. You've got to put my dad on the phone for that one. I have no idea. I have no idea. But, yeah, Pops, yeah. Mom and Pops. My dad's a ridiculous guitar player. My mom's a fantastic singer. I grew up in a household of musicians, and thank God they let me blast music all night long.
And that's perfect, though, because I want to find out what was coming through the speakers of the Gonzalez household. When you grew up, what were you, and I hate to be redundant and being stereotypical, but what was coming through the speakers of the Gonzalez household that you were listening to during your informative years of music?
Oh, my goodness. Everything from Al Green, Smokey Robinson, Sly and the Family Stone, everything. The house, there's always music in the house, put it that way. There's always music in the house. So,
do you remember think for a second there, do you remember the age when Bobby said to himself, this is what I want to play? Was guitar your first instrument, the first thing that landed in your phalanges, for the lack of a better word? Was guitar first and foremost the only instrument that interested you?
It wasn't. I started off on drums, 5 years old.
Okay.
Went to violin, played that for like about 5 years. Jumped on bass, played that for maybe 2 years. extensively, and then I jumped and I had a band, which Tino, as a manager, managed me. Had my own band, and I jumped on guitar. And now, from that point.
No, I'm going to jump in and say, because, I want to say this. I've got notes. I got 1,000 notes. You got to see in my studio here. My question is, now that, because I'm going to go by the relationship of what you have with the guitar, but when you jumped on drums, when you jumped on bass, when you jumped on violin, were you prowess to those instruments at all? Were you good? Were you decent?
You know what? Put it this way. No, you know what? Put it this way. I didn't fall in love with music until when I was 13. I started playing bass, and a guy by the name of Jaco Pastorius one of my favorite bass players.
Right.
I heard him, and I wanted to be like him. And I would practice at least 12 hours a day, every day. I thought I was Jaco, but life has its way of dictating what it's going to be. And I went from bass to guitar, thanks to Tino. He put a band together around me, and I jumped on guitar and just went to it. And I didn't even know how to play rhythm at that time. This is what's so weird about it. I jumped on it. The first thing I learned on guitar was Beat It. And I learned the solo, the Eddie Van Halen solo. So from that point, if I played that, everyone thought I could play, which I really couldn't at the time. But
Little Bird told me that it wasn't so much that. It was actually You Really Got Me by Van Halen.
Yes. That led into, yes. Yeah, Tino, he's got it right.
Okay, man. And the reason why I say
you really got me now,
because I'm looking at all the feed, of you placing, you being on Jackie's Groove today. And told Tino, I was amazed by all of the well wishes from your fans, friends, family members out there wishing you the situation. Because, as I said, I'm not really hip to Sacramento area, being the fact that I am a Southern California boy, but my lineage and my roots came from Tower of Power back in the late 70s, early 80s, when I worked with them from 78 through 81. And during the toughest times of Tower, they're celebrating 50 years this year. And that's right. And for those out there who don't know who Tower of Power is, then you need to crawl out from underneath that rock, because as Bobby and I and Florentino, we get older, man. As we're getting older, so are the players out there that have shaped the soundtrack for our lives. Now, what you being a Sacramento boy, and you and Florentino, the CEO of Intertalk Media, you guys have known each other since the kindergarten days. I personally feel for Florentino being Filipino, he's actually black from the waist up. And I'm telling you that, and I say that with tongue in cheek, because he amazes me. He actually amazes me, and it amazes me because when I'm watching these videos of you, your style of playing on stage versus the way you play in the studio, what possesses you more? Are you more comfortable in the studio, or are you more comfortable in live performance?
Oh, live, definitely. Live.
Share with us why.
Live. Oh, it's just... you're able to stretch it. I'm not thinking so much. In the studio, that red light comes on and you're a different person. It's, I track at home on the computer and by way of Logic, and, I can get it down, but it's just nothing like just improvisation. And I just like when I have a really good drummer and a great bass player, for me, that's everything. It opens up a whole other world for me, and I can express myself totally different than by way of just being in the studio. Studio, it's too precise. I like improvisation. It comes out of my soul.
When you're playing live, let's say, for instance, when you're walking on stage, is there a preference of music that Bobby likes to find himself into? Are you more into gospel? Are you more into soul? Are you more into funk, rock? Explain to us.
I'm into anything that sounds good. Give me a good country groove, I'm with it. Anything that sounds good. If it's good, it's good, period. So I love classical music. I love R&B. I love gospel. I love anything that's good.
Talking about playing music and so on and so forth, a mutual friend of ours, Roger Smith, keyboardist with Tower of Power for the past
absolutely.
14
Shout
years.
out to Roger. Absolutely. He's been knowing me since I was a little baby. I've known Roger my whole life. Seriously.
Have you had a chance to sample his?
I had a chance to what, Sadie?
Sample his wine, his Bump City wine he's got out.
Absolutely. I actually played at his venue where Bump City is at. Yeah. Did a thing with Tony Lindsay. Called me, and I went out there and did that. But yeah, I've known Roger since he's known me my whole life. Actually, he was in my father's band.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Bobby G and the Master's Children.
Which is so cool because, Bobby, when we have a mutual friend in common, not indirectly, but she was called Miss Karen White, who was actually Miss Gonzalez at one time through 2007 through 2009. I don't know how comfortable you feel talking about that, but the reason why I know your ex-wife is because your ex-wife, had a hit with my boy, Michael Jeffries, who was at one time the vocalist with Tower of Power. And, that was one of my favorite tunes. How is Karen doing, man? I mean, I'm a big fan then. I'm a big fan now of her. What is she doing with herself?
And you know what? She's actually doing a track date somewhere Saturday. I just actually did something for her literally hours ago, like yesterday. I put together a track. What am I saying? Instrumental music for her.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so there's good blood between the two of you. Good. Now, and also too, because going through the segment of Karen White and everything that you've done, seriously, I just happened to, Tino sent me a great video. I want everybody to go online right now to YouTube. And if you're driving, don't do it, of course, but go on and put in Bobby G, Ellen DeGeneres, and Lionel Richie. I got to tell you, Bobby, I'm going to give you credit, man, and kudos, because when I was watching you doing Dancing on the Ceiling, I swear to God, I thought I was watching Carlos Rios. And I'm serious.
A compliment.
It is a compliment. Yeah, and that's the man who wrote that song. Awesome. How long were you with Lionel? How long were you playing with Lionel?
I was with him on and off, like 2004, and then I did something in 2012, which I think is what you're talking about right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's like, Lionel's got his residency coming up to into Las Vegas, and so on and so forth. Have you been contacted by his camp at all to rejoin the vein of Lionel Richie?
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So think back for a second. Think back for a second of all the music you've been blessed to play with and all the great artists that you've played with. And it's asking a question like, who's your favorite child? But the fact of the matter is, when you look back, and when we get back to it, share with the listeners worldwide, if you could snap your fingers right now and be on stage with anybody, of all the groups that you've played with, we'll get to a bucket list later on, but who did Bobby feel the most at home with? And away from your own music, I'm talking about support. Man,
that is really, really hard. I mean, I'm serious. That is, oof. One that I know, hopefully my boy is listening, Derek D.O.A. Allen, which you should put on this show as well. Renowned producer, bassist extraordinaire. I had the chance of me and him. We did. We were at Paisley Park for a whole month practicing with the time. So I took Jesse Johnson's spot, and Derek took the bass spot of Terry Lewis, and that was so much fun. We're in Japan, and it's just a sea of Japanese people just going crazy, and that I have it on tape. It was extraordinary. It was fun. That was something that really sticks out, because the time is one of my favorite bands of all time. To this day. Of course, Prince and and Sheila and Jesse, and it's just that's just, I feel at home with those people. So anyway.
And Bobby, speaking of the purple one, the little purple one itself, the man with the size 4 boots, as we always kid around with saying, because I've got a lot of my friends that have gone through his camp. But I hear that he had a problem with your hairdo, man, at one time. And there became a shouting match that kind of ensued between the two of you guys.
Man, oh my! Jackie, you're too funny, dude. You have done your homework. Oh my God.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, share with us, man.
I would share that, but just because it's just out of I want him to rest in peace, and it's actually not a. It's something that if he was alive, I would share it because I wouldn't care, but we were at odds as being guitar players, so he had a thing,
I only mention that because I had the interview, I think it was Florentino or Paul, correct me, I think it's been about a little over a year and a half. I interviewed Robin DiMaggio, and Robin, I've interviewed Rhonda Smith, and, we had, God bless his heart, John Blackwell, before we had him scheduled before he passed away. We're losing too many brothers and sisters, man. I'm going to tell you, I don't want to get emotional. But Robin shared some great anecdotes with Prince and the like at Paisley Park. And we won't get involved with that. And for those who listened to the interview with me and Robin, and the story he told us of Prince kind of shocked the shit out of us, for the lack of a better word. And so you've already given us the wherewithal that you really want to talk about Prince, and I definitely have the respect for that. But I want to know, because I know just through Florentino alone that you are crazy. Now, when I mean crazy, I mean fun crazy. And in the next, I'm not going to ask this question until the next segment. Well, I want to know more about things that you feel comfortable with to share with the listeners and myself, the craziness on the road, because I'm a road dog. And for those listeners out there, to be a road dog, I mean, it is not glamorous by any stretch of the imagination. Glamour goes up when the lights go up. It's a lot of hurry up and waiting and so on. But I know there's got to be some crazy stories from Bobby Gonzalez. And so, Bobby, when we get back, with the situation, and Prince and the argument. When I'm watching right now, I'm watching on my screen right now of you playing with Karen. And, and funky good time. I have it down on mute. But that situation where I'm watching you move on the stage itself, would you say that Prince was an influence to you at all?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Sly Stone is the biggest influence. James Brown, my mother and father.
Right,
but yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, that boy, Prince was one of a kind, man. He's one of my favorites. But he was like, he embodies everything that I like. He was James Brown, Little Richard, Sly Stone, Funkadelic, and he just put all that into one package, and it was a pleasure working with him, being around him. And that dude he's greatly missed, man. I really can't believe he's dead. Let's
pick that up on the next segment when we go in here, man. It's we're going to step out of segment 1. We're going to step in number 2 with my guest in the studio today, Mr. Bobby Gonzalez. Bobby, don't go anywhere, man. The listeners worldwide, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after a short break on segment number 2 with my in-studio guest, Bobby Gonzalez. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Media. Connect to all things music. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio.
Each week, I talked with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Hey, this is Brian Culbertson, and you're listening to my dude, Jackie Bertoni, on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Hey guys, everybody, welcome back to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Media, Connect to All Things Music. Hey Bobby, before we go on, I want to tell the listeners out there, when you can't listen to my show live, and shame on you when you can't, but I understand that 12 o'clock is not always the apropos time to listen, but do yourselves a favor and go on to Google Play and go on to the Apple Store and download our easy-to-use and easy-to-navigate application. 2 words, Intertalk Worst. Second is radio, and take Jackie's Groove and the plethora of shows we have on Intertalk Media on the road when you can't listen live. So, hey guys, welcome back to segment number 2. Bobby, welcome back to Jackie's Groove. Man, we're cracking it up on the break. And the shit that we talk about, things you don't want to talk about, and so on. But you know what I want to do is I want to bring on your kindergarten friend. I call him the Tyrant, or it's better known as the CEO of the network. So, Florentina, will you say hi to your elementary school friend here, please?
Oh, we go way back, man. What's up, Bobby?
Dino, what's up, man? My first manager. This dude believed in me before anybody did.
Well, it wasn't hard. You were great.
Yeah.
Even then, I was telling, didn't mean to interrupt you though, but I was telling Jackie, I was like, you know, you were this master bass player, and all of a sudden you're like, I think I'm gonna play guitar, and I'm like, okay, and you're like talking about this, you know, how does that track, that Van Halen track that you mess around with go, and I really poorly played it for you, and you go, okay, cool. 2 months later, man, you're like, you know, wailing away on freaking Eruption and all this other stuff, and the solo from Beat It, and I'm just like, oh. Damn.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's really weird you say that, because I approach guitar totally different. I knew how to solo before I knew how to play rhythm. So it was really weird. People, because I could play the Beat It solo, the Eddie Van Halen solo. I could play it note for note. People thought I could play guitar, and I really didn't know how to play guitar. I'm still learning right now. So.
You're humble, brother. That's all good, man. Yeah, dude. You know, just on behalf of all the folks from Sacramento, that we all love you, man, and we've been proud in watching your growth in this industry go. And you know, I was blessed to share some milestones with you back in the day. And
absolutely,
I was talking with John Paris about you know, the time that you guys played your first gig with All Is One. It was a Hotel El Rancho for
it was El, yes. Man,
New Year's Eve, and there's this little young lady that got up and sang one of her first times out, singing a song called "Hold Me" with Eddie. And it was a hit that Sheila goes on to make. And there was Karen White, obviously. You have a little history. We learned in the first segment with Karen, and it was pretty amazing. And then that point, that's when I moved to Los Angeles to go to school there. And you went on to some crazy tours. We ran into each other at you were playing with Jesse Johnson, and you were at the Palace, and then, we just continued to connect throughout these years.
I remember that. That's when I think I introduced you to Raphael, and then Janet Jackson was there or something crazy.
Yeah, you introduced me. That. You introduced me to Raphael. We're sitting there, and this young guy's like, "Yeah, we just hope we can get we can get in." And there was the backstage, and then there was the backstage, and we were looking forward to get into the backstage where everybody was and where Janet was. She went out there. I guess Jesse was producing her at that time, so it was good times, man. And I just congratulations on all the wonderful things you've been doing. The stuff that you did with Spike Lee,
thank you, thank you very much. Man. I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
You had a track on the Sweet Blood of Jesus movie, and you've been doing some other things, man. And my biggest thing is I can never figure out where you're at. You're always going. Where are you in Sacramento right now? Where are you at?
I am in Sacramento. I am right here. I am here.
Ah, okay, very cool. And it's
And let me jump in real quick, too, and Bobby, Tino and I got a message last night from John Paris, and he said, "Man, tell Bobby that I love him. He's at a gala. Correct me if I'm wrong on here, man. He's out right now with Earth and Fire. They're gearing up for the new test." He goes, "I wouldn't miss it for anything. I wouldn't miss calling him, surprising him. But he did want to tell you that he loves you. He's enjoyed the stage with you, and it will be continued to share the stage with you." Am I right, Tino?
That dude's had my back, man. Yeah. So when it was, picking up from the El Rancho when I did a date with, I did an audition. And so the whole thing was the band was coming out of San Francisco. Eddie M was on tour with Prince at the time, the Purple Rain tour. And his brother was singing lead, and I had to move to San Francisco, and John let me stay with him, man, and his mother. So, I mean, and from there, man, that dude taught me so much, man. That dude, his ears are just huge, big influence on me, man. He really, seriously, that dude was. That's my boy, though, man. Love him. Love him.
I was going to say, and you replaced him. I guess I didn't realize that he was the guitar player for All Is One back then, and they put him on drums and brought you in instead.
Hey, John is incredible, man. That dude is. You put him in the studio. That dude he's ridiculous, man. He plays guitar, bass. He does everything, man. He's ridiculous.
And he wanted to. You have to tell people what he said on your text message yesterday, because that was what he said. He said, "Ask Bobby what I told him on my last text message."
Yes.
What did he tell him? I don't know what he said. What did he say? I don't know.
Okay.
Let me scroll down here. I think I got it also.
I don't know if he didn't say what it was. He just said to ask Bobby what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea.
That's the second thing to go, Bobby. Let me ask you guys a question, both of you, Tino and Bobby. Being down here in the Southern California area, I surpassed and I skipped over Sacramento area and going directly to the Bay Area, playing in Berkeley with Tower at a young age. Now,
don't forget Stevie B, brother. You had some Stevie B time.
No, I want to forget Stevie B. Please, and let me forget Stevie B. And don't go ahead, keep laughing, guys. Keep laughing. But it's it paid good money at the time, man. You know what I'm saying? But it did lead into CDC Music Factory.
Yeah,
right. Well, please.
Somebody give us some auto tune for that, brother.
Auto tune. I couldn't do it. We were going through, Bobby, at the time, we were going through the Milli Vanilli stage, because every time we would do live shows, we'd have to put in all the advertisement that it was live track because the Milli Vanilli, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to jump in there before you guys made fun of me and Stevie B.
And you know what? Check this out.
Go ahead.
I want to sing the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, never mind.
Please.
You going to join the Black Eyed Peas too right now?
Stevie used to get
Anyway.
Steve used to get pissed at me because I used to walk up during soundcheck and I would sing spring rolls, bring them to me, and I would change the words, and I love sashimi and so on. Stevie didn't like it. So, and through that, I used him as a stepping stone to get to CNC Music Factory, and it worked. So with that said, now let me finish what I was going to ask. So I flew over Sacramento. I didn't have that influence of the Sacramento area. I had that influence of the R&B funk of Tower of Power. Would you say that the musicians coming out of Sacramento were more posed and more prowess to the San Francisco sound of music, or did you guys draw out of your LA vibes at all?
Well, just connect them. It's Northern California, and it's a whole different funk. Totally. Right. Northern California, as opposed to Southern California, it's totally different. Drummers, guitars, bass players,
and generation-wise too. And generation-wise too is different.
Man, it's totally different. That's why Larry Graham, his whole band is from Oakland, right?
Right.
Prince, every time he would take Sheila's band, but it's all Oakland. It's all Northern California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Serious. It's totally different. I mean, L.A. I'm sorry. It's just it ain't funky down there.
No,
they ain't got no grease. I'm serious.
Well, I would agree with the grease part because it doesn't have the grit, doesn't have the grease as it's very polished in the Southern California areas.
You just nailed it.
Yeah.
It's too polished.
The cats that we grew up with were funky. Yeah. They were just greasy. They just, like you said, it was just a nasty, and that especially that time, man. There was Bobby was coming up, and we were barely out of high school when you were already on tour, man. I mean, we don't see that anymore. He was like, 18 at the time when you went out with All Is One, and you were playing with, you were with Jesse Johnson from the time, and then you had Derek Allen out with Janet Jackson with Flip and playing with Stephanie Mills, and these cats were all like, it was really a special time that we had in our generation. Robert Brookins, God rest his soul,
absolutely.
They got signed to Earth, Wind and Fire when they were like 15. Him and Mike got signed at 14, 15 or somewhere really young. And this is the people. The Roger Smith was out doing his thing. He was either playing with Club Nouveau or doing his own jazz thing before he got with
Tower.
You
had Jay King. Don't forget Jay King. And
can't forget Jay.
All the people that he brought to the forefront. You had
Tommy and
Brian
Danny.
Alexander Morgan and Timex Social Club. And just a lot of people. Raphael was living here for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was definitely doing that. And then you even had rock bands like Tesla came out of the same generation. Yep. Tesla. You had the first hit. I can't remember what the name of that damn group was, but there was a couple of rock bands that came out of the Sacramento, and then not to mention the Bay Area. You had all the a little bit before us, but Journey and obviously Carlos Santana. So
just absolutely
grittier sound.
Sly Stone.
You mentioned twice the word Raphael. Let me just make available to the listeners out there. Talking about Raphael Saadiq. I mean, that is the voice of Toni, and he's gone on to greater things. To me, he's out there doing it. He's pushing it. All the guys in our age are above the 50s. We're out there and we're killing it still, man. And there's a reason for it, because we are the innovators of our time. That the music of the millennials. I'm not going to go and beat the millennials up, but you guys have got to learn from the masters. And the master I'm talking to is Bobby G right now on the phone. Bobby, out of all the playing and of all the drummers that you have worked with, because the bottom line is it's always bass and drums to be the two, the ones that lock. But when you're playing on stage, and do you have, again, asking who the favorite child is there a drummer out there that you love to share the stage with, and who is it and why?
Jeez. John Paris, for sure. Yeah. Why? Because he understands, he plays like he's producing. His ears are very open, so he knows. Shoot, man, there's some bad boys out there.
Have you had a chance to gig with Garibaldi at all?
Yes, actually, I did a guy named Raymond McKinley, bass player, is playing with.
Very well.
Plays with Sheila right now. he hasn't put the project out yet, but yeah, we did something in LA where we tracked for like a whole week, man. And yeah, got to like play with this dude, man. Just incredible. Well, incredible drummer, man.
You were in his live gig. I know you guys did something in Sacramento where he brought you in on a gig he did over there, right, Bobby?
What's this? What are you talking about?
With David? I thought you did a gig with David over in Sac. Not too long ago. Okay, maybe I'm remembering the mixing up thing. So I get it's that age, man. You start to remember things that are different than they were before.
but, it's funny when you mentioned the fact about Raymond McKinley. Raymond actually, if you didn't know this, when David got hurt, Garibaldi got hurt along with Mark VW, last year and a half ago through the Amtrak debacle up by Yoshi's. But Raymond, who filled in for Rocco, filled in perfectly. But Raymond also was the road manager for Tower of Power. I don't know if you knew that. But the man,
he does that. He's like it's a joke, inside joke. But that dude is like, man, that dude. If he'll road manage, he'll play bass. Yeah. He can do sound. He's done sound for Prince.
Yeah,
House. He's done House. The dude he's incredible.
Yeah,
Raymond's just an incredible musician, man.
We talked about on the break. I can't look at this again. The segments are rolling by, but in 2 minutes left on the second segment, Bobby, can you share with us? We talk about we're not going to talk about Prince the dog and so on and so forth, but let's talk about the man himself. Not the persona of the crazy, the ideological Prince. And the weirdness, for the lack of a better word. From what I know, from what I understand from the other musicians that have gone through his camp, he is really a beautiful brother. Would you agree? Did you have that experience with him when he wasn't "quote unquote" Prince?
He was full of shit. No, I'm just playing. No, he was a cool dude, man. He's you know what? Long story short, for anybody listening, man, it's like I play guitar, he plays guitar. That dude just did not like me. He liked me from a distance, but he wouldn't. We just bumped heads, and oh my! It's not that. I think it's the thing of, if you know me, I'm a quiet person, but I also can speak my mind. So he's used to having a lot of people around him that, they're yes people, and I'm that person to be like, I'm not doing that, and take it, and so.
Okay, I get it. I mean, it just. I'm going to call it jealousy, man. When you're that close and you're looking at a mirror image of yourself on stage, and I mean that as a compliment to Bobby G. And then you get to that echelon of where Prince was, and then there is nobody. There's the entitlement that nobody is going to be like me or close to me. But when you see a person out there that has that ability, Bobby G, to not replicate, but to be a direct competitor of the man, then I can see where the jealousy would be there. So, and let's let that drop and let that die where it's at. Rest in peace, Prince. I mean, that's one man I wish had the ability.
I mean, all respect. I'm saying I'm being facetious right now, but that dude was a huge influence on me, and I miss that brother, man. Seriously,
Hey,
gone way too soon.
I got a request for Bobby. I know you're going in a break here.
Yes.
At one point, I want you to do a video of you doing Jimi Hendrix, man, because I got a chance to experience that, and ain't nobody done Jimmy like you did it. I know you're your own guy, but it was amazing when I seen you do that with the whole everything from the body movements and everything. We've seen that over.
It's a trip about that.
I'm going to interrupt you guys. I'm going to break you up right now, guys. We're coming out of segment number 2, going to number 3. Got to pay some bills. Sorry about that, guys. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio. Your connect to all things music. Back right after a short break with Bobby G. Florentine, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to my good buddy Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Welcome to the Church of Jackie's Groove, everybody. Hey, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Media. Connect all things music. You know, I wanted to welcome everybody back to segment number 3, and I wanted to sit there and tell you, everybody, I apologize because the CEO and the CO, Florentino Buenaventura and Paul Berezesky, I asked them not to blow the surprise, because on Jackie's Groove, it's almost like this is your life. And the thing is, I had to be explained and educated over the break that we couldn't surprise Eddie to Bobby because of technical glitches and so on. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and we're all going to act surprised because I'm going to bring on to Jackie's Groove right now a gentleman I had the pleasure of interviewing last year. His name is eddie-minnifield, or Eddie M., the great saxophonist, currently out with Sheila. But Eddie, say hi to Eddie. Eddie, say hi to Bobby. Bobby, say hi to Eddie, man. Go on.
Eddie Joe, what's up, boy? What's up, man?
Great job with acting surprise here, guys.
My little brother. What's up, Bobby G? And hey, Jackie, what's thinking?
Same old, bro.
Man,
thank you very much for joining us.
Y'all finally got him on the radio, Jackie.
Hey, man, guys, talk it up, man, because, Florentino was talking about all the days of yesteryear with all the situation. Eddie, explain, and to the audience out there listening, exactly how far you go back with Bobby G.
Oh.
Oh, my.
We go way back.
I got my start right there.
It's so far back. Bobby became... we were referred to Bobby by our old manager, Marty Hum. And he said, man, it's a blazing young guitarist out here in Sacramento area. He's just killing it. And we were forming the band shortly after Purple Rain tour. We were putting the band together, and my gosh. Actually, no, that was really, Bobby came in before that. I'm speaking about All Is One. At any rate, we already had a little top 40 band happening with John Paris,
Right.
Kenny Franklin. You know, we had some local bad boys, and our manager referred us to Bobby, and that was it. As soon as we met him, he's like, "Come on, man, come on, man."
Truth.
He was killing everything and everybody. He was youngest cat in the group, and man, it was just fire from that point on, and hasn't stopped.
We're still doing. Hey, and Eddie, where you at right now? Are you out with Sheila right now, or are you at home base?
You know, we've been out pretty much up until this past weekend. Now we have about 3 or 4 weeks off. But yeah, I'm home. Thank God. We've been beating up the road a bit, you know, and with a project that Bobby helped out tremendously on. Played his butt off, and you know, on Sheila's current CD. So we've been out supporting that quite a bit this year and the last part of last year.
And Bobby, I know you're Mr. Humble and you're not going to mention it, but I got Eddie on the phone right now. So Eddie, I'm going to ask you this question. I asked on the first segment, how crazy is Bobby G to be on the road with? Go ahead.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't even hold back on that one. Oh Lord! Oh my goodness,
Jackie, I think we need maybe 3 or 4 segments. Actually, 6 days of. Oh Lord!
Remember, gentlemen, this is satellite, so you can talk, you can say anything you want.
Yeah, I can say this. Colored people are like human weeds and are to be exterminated. Margaret Sanger. Founder of Planned Parenthood.
Oh, my
Did you know
God.
That?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's a true statement, though. I want to educate people. Okay?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Anyway. Yeah.
I'm sitting right now. I've lost it.
I missed some of that.
Should I close the can of worms? Should I close the can of worms that I opened up right now, Eddie?
Yeah, you probably should, because that's dangerous ground.
We need at least one crazy story. Bobby's got like the best stories ever.
Let's just say we've had some wonderful times on the road and some scary times on the road, but you know,
Eddie was my roommate back in the day when we had to share rooms until it's like, I ain't doing that no more, but that was my brother, you know. We should, oh my goodness. Man, there's some stories not sharing that.
Think about it. I want you to share one with us. There's got to be one.
I can say, Jackie, we survived.
There you go.
There was one.
Go ahead, Bobby.
You know,
Go ahead.
And people don't believe it, but I actually whooped Suge Knight's ass with a boot.
Really?
Okay, so listen, it came down to this. I didn't, but you know, I'm being silly. So, but that dude actually put his hands on me. I'm gonna share the story. I'll be brief.
Please don't be brief.
So we were on tour. I'm with Karen White. We're out on the road, and I'm hanging out before we play, and I'm talking to this girl. It happened to be Wesley's wife. Wesley and Suge were bodyguards for Al Heyman, and Al Heyman put on the Budweiser Superfest tours back in the day. So anyway, long story short, I'm talking to her, and I finished talking to her, and dude goes, "Man, what are you doing talking to her? My brother's wife?" And I said, "Dude," she asked me to talk to her. And so, man, this dude pushed me, man, and I flew like a little ragamuffin, man. I'm just sliding on smooth concrete. And back in the day, I used to rock these cowboy boots. They were black and white cowboy boots, man. And so I'm sliding. I'm like, this, mama, dude, just not. Man, I took off my boot, and he wasn't looking. And I turned it around, and I had the heel, and I was about to hit this dude in his head, man. This is honest God truth. And I'm about to hit him. I'm coming at him. And our road manager, he's passed away, Thad Edwards, tackled me down to the ground. But I was about to clock this dude, man. And from that point, they were like, dude, you're lucky because that dude was about to knock you out. And so
that wasn't Suge. That was Suge or the other guy?
No, that was Suge. Suge. That's before Suge was Suge Knight. He turned into Suge Knight Death Row a couple years later, and I ran into him a couple years later, and that story goes, I seen him, and he comes up to me. I was out with a guy named Robert Brookins. We're at this club, and
bless his heart.
Long story short, this guy, he fingers me. He goes like, come here. And I'm like, huh? He goes, you remember me? I was like, no. And I was like, oh, I know who this dude is. And he was like, you know what? He said, I should have one of my boys put a gun in your mouth and shoot your punk ass.
Are you serious?
I was like, dude. Oh, I swear to God. I said, man, please leave me alone. I'm just a guitarist out of here. I'm just trying to make some money. Man, please leave me alone. Hey, no shame in my game. Leave me alone. I was like, please leave me alone. He said, take your punk ass out of here. I said, yes, sir.
Well,
wow.
to add to that story a little bit, Jack,
story.
Go ahead.
I was on the outside of this circle that surrounded Suge and Bobby while Suge was trying to rip Bobby apart. And all you seen was an arm with a boot.
Hello.
In the middle of the crowd. It was pretty interesting. And I'm glad he missed him.
So you need to call me back. Can you guys?
Well, let me ask you this question: if you were to run into Suge today, I mean, obviously you would be in prison to run into him. But let's say you guys were walking down the street. How do you think he would? Do you think he would be more mellow with you, or would you want to connect and continue on with his threat to you, or would you avoid him at all costs?
I
think we lost one of the guys there.
Okay.
We brought him back in. There we go.
You good?
Yeah, who we lose?
We lost Bobby, but I think he's back.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
So the question was before you dropped, if you were running to Suge today, do you think there would be a peaceful meeting, or do you want to pick it up where he left off?
No, I think he's cool where he's at. You know, he's doing time. I'm sure he's not even thinking about me. It's not even like that.
Well, let's hope that.
Life comes back on you. He was a little tyrant, man. Just beating up on people for no reason, man, and it caught up with him. So he's cool.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure he thinks about all that stuff.
I'm sure he does. But is he going to learn from it? That's another issue, another show on Oprah. I want to stay on this with yourself too. I want to talk about one of my favorite entertainers, and Eddie, I don't know if you were involved in this either, or Florentino, but one of my favorite singers of all time was Teena Marie. There's no sister like her ever, ever, ever. Eddie, did you have any? I know Bobby played, but did you have any interactions with Teena at all?
I worked with Teena. I was one of the first out of me and John and Bobby to work with Teena. I toured with Teena. We did a Sinbad Soul tour with Earth, Wind & Fire and Larry Graham. I did actually a couple of the records, but yeah, I had a pretty long stint with Teena. Miss her like crazy.
The only reason why I asked that question because I had the benefit of Teena sat in with us at the Roxy Theater, and for the listeners out there worldwide, the Roxy is still one of the most prominent venues. But back in the 80s, in the early 80s, it was the club, and I'm sure we've all played there. I know Eddie has played there. I know, and Bobby's played there. But the fact is, Teena came on and she sang "You're Still a Young Man," and she sang it with Michael Jeffries, and this girl blew everybody out of the venue. And this white girl who had a voice, and then she started to scat on this, where there would normally be a talk about, I'm not a young man, baby, but I dropped them on side just for you. She was talking this stuff out, and I was on stage, and I forgot to play my instrument because I was pinching myself. because this girl got up and sang, because Towers never had a female sing to sing in with the group, and still young, and he's still a young woman. With that, was she, when you were on the road with her, doing I Need Your Love thing, and that's as far as I'm going to go that. But when you guys were on stage with her, was she as powerful on stage, on tour, as she was in the studio with Rick?
Oh my gosh, yeah. The stage was her home. I mean, Bobby can back that. I mean,
absolutely.
She'd be shut down and off the stage, but as soon as she went to Showtime, it was it was on. It was fire. From the beginning,
he's an amazing musician. Incredible.
Yeah.
Sweetheart.
I want to ask this question with regards to playing live with Teena. And back in the day when we played Eddie and Bobby and so on, when we were allowed to stretch as opposed to the quote unquote programmed music that is played right now today, and so on and so forth. People that you've been blessed to work with, were you able to step out of your lane and to solo when you wanted to? Or back in the day, was it formulated and it was regulated how far you guys could step out?
No, not with Teena. Not with Teena.
Yeah.
Teena, she wanted you to have your expression, and she gave you those times to express yourself. And she never, the greatest thing about Teena, you gave her some of the original performance from the recording. And after that, if you just sell, I never forget. I'm taking a Bobby segment, but I shouldn't. I'm gonna get off in a second.
Come on, man.
When I first went to her, they called me to come in, and the musical director then told me, said, "Hey man, whatever you do, learn the solo on I Need Your Lovin'." Danny. And I was like, "What? What do you mean learn that solo?" I'm thinking, I just came off the Prince, and my head is swollen. I'm Eddie M. Like, I'm going to do me. No, he said, no, really learn the solo. And I learned the solo. Thank God I did. But when that solo was the audition almost, and I'm glad every time we played that song, I went to Danny's solo. And but then there was a point in the show where she allowed you to do what you were about, and she did that as well with Bobby as well. I recall it, but
absolutely,
it was no limit. It was no limit. She wanted that, and nothing was on the clock. Nothing was on track. It was all live and good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like when you talk about the music of yesteryear versus the music of today, she obviously gave the opportunity of the musicians, Eddie and Bobby, to stretch because you were capable of doing it. I mean, you guys could turn the show into your own situation, but at the same time, not forgetting who the bosses, who we're working for. We are the hired guns that are hired to play with that. And Eddie, don't go anywhere because I want you to stay on that because I want to pick up, the situation with Sheila and integrate that if you would, if you had the time. If Paul will keep you on the line during the break, I want to talk more about that situation of the difference between, if there was a difference between working with Sheila, working with Teena, working with Karen, and so on and so forth, and the idiosyncrasies that each performer as a female had on stage, and not to talk shit, but to talk about the aesthetics of music and how it is to work with a woman versus working with a man, or is there any difference at all? So with that said, this is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. Here, your connect to all things music. Guys, we're stepping out of segment number 3 into number 4. I'm sitting here, I feel like the whitest guy on Soul Train right now, but I'm going to hold on to what I got. So guys, don't go anywhere. So we'll see you right back on this short break. Don't move an inch.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Al Di Meola, and you're listening to Jackie's Groove with Jackie Bertoni.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to segment number 4, the second hour of a 2-hour interview with my in-studio guest, Mr. Bobby Gonzalez, and my brother, his brother, they call him Mr. eddie-minnifield, better known as Eddie M. Hey guys, I talked on the break, man, about the situation right before we left third to come into 4. I wanted to find out, the situation working with, the people we work with, the plethora of entertainers. But the fact of the matter is, we work with a lot of females. And, we talked about Karen earlier, Karen White. But let's talk about the correlation in working with Eddie and currently with Sheila E. And also the two of you working with Teena Marie. How was it working? Was it any different working with a female than working with a male leader? Let's start out. And Bobby, can you pick that up and educate us on that?
You know what? Being able to play with these women, they know music. And they're true musicians, and they know what they want. And they're just, I can't even explain it. Just they're so talented. Like Sheila is ridiculous musician, just incredible producer. She's ridiculous. My big sis, she knows what she wants, knows how to put it together.
Right.
So well that every time she would put a band together, Prince would come and take her band. So you think about that.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the truth.
But did you understand all the questions itself? I want to sit there and talk about in the earlier stages before menopause came along, and when it really turned into craziness. I'm married 34 years. I'm going through it right now. It's called men on pause. But the point I'm getting at is when Sheila and Teena are in their quote-unquote mood back then, was it any different, or was it still the fact that it was a musician, regardless of a vagina or a penis? The bottom line is they were musicians. They are musicians.
Absolutely.
So they attacked it like that. And obviously they hired the players. Eddie, did you find that to be any different at all, Eddie?
I think the fire that's behind both Sheila and Teena is their fight to be accepted as strong women in the music game, and they pushed harder, where it was kind of like a man's kind of situation, but they pushed harder to prove themselves that they're just, as strong. And I think that was the greatness of them. I mean, it's still, Sheila still pushes to this day. I've been around her for almost 34 years.
Right.
And she drives no different than when we were 19, but she fights hard. And I've enjoyed working with females. Not to say I don't enjoy working with the guys, but I've spent the majority of my career of working with strong females.
Yeah, man. Andy, you're currently working with my two girls, Lynn Mabry and also Rebecca Jade, who are adding the female touches to Sheila E. And Eddie, I don't want to cut you off, man, but I want to get back on the show with Bobby, and I want to thank you very, very, very much, man, for joining us. I'm glad you accepted the invitation, Bobby. I hope you don't mind me springing Eddie on you. And I know it's a stupid question.
Are you kidding me? That's my brother right there. Goodness gracious, that's my roommate.
Yeah, watch out,
man.
Bobby G, he's gonna hurt him. He's still hurting him.
That's it. Everybody, please thank personally to eddie-minnifield, Eddie M. Thank you so much for being part of Jackie's Groove the second time around. Not to say that you won't be around the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, seventh time around also. So, everybody, please say goodbye to Mr. Eddie-minnifield. Eddie, thank you, my brother. I love you. And
love
you're always family, man.
Love you, too. Love you, Jackie. Love you, Bobby. Bobby, call me.
I sure will.
All right, y'all. Have a good one. God bless.
All right, man.
Take care, Eddie. Hey, Bobby, let me ask you this question, Bobby. I love the fact, because I'm probably one of the rare guys out there that's a huge fan of Jane Child also. How was that working with that girl and that whole situation?
Oh, my goodness. I forgot about that. Yeah, absolutely. Jane Child she knows great musician, man, and would put stuff together, and she would see music, in a way that I didn't know how she would do it. She'd put stuff together, and she's an amazing person to work with. She's awesome. Awesome. I've been very blessed, and I've played with some great musicians, man. I forgot about Jane. I forgot all about that. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at the parallels of all the different musicians that you've been blessed to play with. Obviously, you're playing with them because of your ability to play. But with that is Bobby G, and that's a message from a listener right now. Of all the great musicians that Bobby's shared the stage with and or the studio with, is there a musician dead or alive that you have a bucket list to work with?
Oh, that would be Sly Stone. Hands down.
Why?
Hands down. Oh, my goodness. He's the epitome of funk. He's just a great songwriter, plays every instrument, great storyteller. He's my favorite, period. Hands down.
Does Sly know about Bobby G?
He does. Long story short, Cynthia Robinson, she passed. Bless her soul, miss her. My mother and father would let her take me actually to the power plant in Oakland.
Wow.
And I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I would watch these guys track. I would be right there watching them record music, watching them. It was incredible.
Were you learning during the time that you were watching the tracking going down, or were you more of a fanboy?
No, I was watching. I'm like, what does that button do? What does that do? I'm asking questions. Everybody they would say, oh, he's going to be a musician. There's no hands. There's no ands or buts. He's way too involved. I'm like, watching. What are you guys doing? Excuse me?
Give me a timeline. When was this?
I was 7 or 8 years old. So I don't know what that would be 70. I know it's the Fresh album. Put it that way.
What could you know at the age of 7 years old, brother? Well, what could you honestly comprehend at the age of 7?
Funk.
Was it? Okay.
I could comprehend it. I understood it very well. That's all I was around. My mother and father are musicians, and it's in my blood. So,
and looking at the situation, I want to find out too, just because I've always been amazed. You mentioned Jay King earlier. I had Jay on my show, and it was pretty amazing. I asked a lot of the older guys that are long in the tooth, like you and I are, Jay and Brian Alexander Morgan and Eddie and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But, the difference of the music business today versus yesterday, and I'm not talking about the aesthetics of monetary and compensation of music, but let's talk about the recording side of it itself. Are you comfortable with Pro Tools? Are you comfortable with Logic 10? Or do you prefer to be in an actual studio recording? Or does it matter?
Well, put it this way. So I had the pleasure of, it was that April, I believe, of last year.
Okay.
Got to go in the studio with Sheila and her band. She asked me to come through, and I came through, and we recorded for 6 or 7 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
And that experience, recording like that, when you have musicians, everyone in, recording live, it's a different element. I like that. I love it. But at the same time, I like being in front of my computer, and because I can play pretty much everything that I need to, that needs to be recorded, I like being at home and just recording. So it's there's two different worlds, and I like Both of them.
Bobby G, the producer.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Bobby G, the producer, are you an easy guy to work with? Are you a prick? Explain to us, what pisses you off in the studio, and or what don't you want to hear of the bad note, as it's always said. What is it that you don't, or what pisses you off, sends you over the top in the studio? And let's talk about yourself, since you're basically playing most of the instruments yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you that technical? Are you that?
I'm not.
That okay.
I am not. There's I've listened to Brian Alexander Morgan's interview, and he's back in the day. I used to share a studio with him.
Mm-hmm.
He was very technical about notes before Pro Tools. I mean, not Pro Tools, Auto-Tune.
Right.
He was, he'd keep going. Wants it perfect. And I'm not that person. If it's a feel to it, it could be out of tune. I'm that kind of dude. I'm like, if it's a feel to it, I'll keep it, and I'll keep moving on, But some people, go ahead.
No, I'm saying when you're listening to older tracks that you've recorded that's actually in vinyl, that's been pressed and it's out on the radio and so on, do you ever catch yourself with a furrowed brow going, oh, fuck, I wish that wouldn't have been put on? Or are you happy with everything that made it to the press?
You know what? I'm happy because it's a segment of time that was captured, and I leave it at that. So when it's mixed and it's done, I captured time, however I recorded it in that amount of time. Now it's out there in the universe. It is what it is. Like I listen to like Sly Stone. I'll listen to that stuff, and there's out of tune notes. There's bass out of tune, flat guitars or out of tune. Drumming is not perfect, but when you put all that stuff together, it's what makes it funky. You know what I mean? And what's happening with the technical side of recording now, you've got a bunch of people that just hit buttons and they don't know how to play. And everything is perfect. And there's no feel behind it. That's what's missing with music. It's just computer generated. There's nothing wrong with the computer, but if you prostitute it in a way of, you don't know how to play an instrument and you're making music by just hitting buttons, it's, what's the use? And then you can take anybody and put auto-tune on them and you're done, You don't have to be a singer.
And that's a great analogy because, me in the studio, too, just did a recording with Michael Paulo and David Benoit. And, I'm name dropping because it's an amazing, amazing track. It's actually Michael Paulo's new CD coming out in the next few months. And I did a Your Song by Elton John, a cover tune of it. And I laid all the colors and stuff on it. We went back and we recorded it in analog. and it was really, really, really cool. Yeah, and because there's so many plugins nowadays that you can take digital and turn it into analog. When you go in the studio, do you find yourself recording in analog or analog plugins to get that sound that you're looking for, or are you a slave to what is out there today?
I'm a slave to what's out there today. It's all good. You know, I like tape. I love it, but it's expensive. You know, and the average ear can't hear it. So to me, it's really not a big deal. And it's like music is in such a down low right now to where it's horrible right now. I mean, people can't make money writing songs anymore. You know, royalties music is free. Well, and it's sad.
Don't get me pointing fingers on who's the culprits for that. The situation of
it's sad. It's really
it is sad. It's very, very sad because the bottom line is, like I said it over and over again, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. You and I are not doing this for our good looks. We're doing this because we have a family. We have an overhead. We have the situation and why in America is it still allowed that, I hate you saying, well, you can get Bobby G's new album wherever music is sold versus Tower Records, Virgin Records, Amoeba Music. And so when there's 38 viable Tower Records in Japan that are still making money hand over fist because the way they value their music. When you are in the situation when you're trying to monetize what's out there, as we're getting older, it's tough, man. Bobby, it's tough to be on the road. I mean, look at Tower of Power. The guys are my 10 years my senior, and they're 211 days out of the year they're playing live music. That's got to wear on you. Do you feel in your heart of hearts that the music business will come back to yesterday?
Absolutely.
Why do you feel that?
It has to.
Why do you feel that?
Because life is a cycle. The things that were, the things that shall be. The Lord even says that. Yeah,
of course.
It's got to come back around. It's got to come back. It's got to. I'm waiting. Trust me. It's really sad right now. It's just the music is so terrible, and people are being. It's so funny because this thing with Fergie. Now she's part of a multi-million dollar group. You want to call it that, or the very popular, very successful Black Eyed Peas, and she gets up and she thinks that she can blow and. Come on, man. That was horrible. That was sad.
Don't get me wrong. And that's the truth also because, right now I'm just looking at notes. I want to know if your opinion, if you got a chance to hear what Quincy, what Q had said in his last, and let's not talk about that until the next segment, because I want your opinion of being one of the old guys in the business itself. Do you think it was right what he said? I think what he said, I don't want to put the fact that he's at that age now where our grandparents, they don't give a shit what they say because they've already earned the right to say it. But, should he curtailed his voice? Should his people, quote unquote, said, Quincy, that's not the thing to be saying. That's not that don't spew it. Don't talk about Marvin Gaye like you talked about him. And so on and so forth, and we can expand on that just a little bit. And I want to know your opinion on that. I want to know your opinion about a lot of things. So when we come back on segment number 5, do you see how fast this is going? And we haven't even touched.
It really is going
on the aesthetics of Bobby G. I'm going to repeat myself over and over again. I'm a fan. And I hope that God gives me the blessings to work with you to add my taste and my flavor, my color onto your music. And again, too, I'm kind of leaving an open book that way. So with that said, guys, Jackie Tony Dex Groove brought to you by Intertalk Media. Connect to all things music. On the phone right now, talking to Bobby G. Bobby Gonzalez, guitarist extraordinaire. Bobby, we'll be right back on the segment number 4, going into 5. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Hey, this is Brian Culbertson, and you're listening to my dude, Jackie Bertoni, on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Media, connect to all things music. Hey, I want to say first and foremost, thank you to all of our sponsors out there that keep this crazy ship afloat. First and foremost, to Calvin Lee and the Motley Crew over at Pitbull Audio, and you can reach them at pitbullaudio.com, where they just want you to play it loud. And also places sir-usa.com, the greatest place for rehearsal and backline needs. Also want to say hi to all my boys at Percussion, my drumstick choice for the past 25 years, Sabian Cymbals for the past 26 years, and LP Music Group, my choice of percussion for the past 30 years. Thank you, gentlemen, for your belief. And with that said, I want to believe that I got somebody else on the line to surprise Mr. Ed, Bobby G. Eddie M was on the last segment. We got the crazy and the innovative Mr. Brian Alexander Morgan. Surprise, 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 Bobby G.
Bam!
Bobby, say hi
Bam!
to,
What's up?
Say hi to Bam Bam, say hi to Bobby.
Zach!
What's been up, man? What's been up?
Yo. Oh, man, B, you already know. This B never goes anywhere out of my heart because he's that dude. When real musicianship always wins.
Yes, you got that right. Absolutely.
And he got that, and he'll never lose that. So that's like, that's a win-win in my book.
Man, share with the listeners, if you will, the both of you, how far back you go. Brian, go ahead and explain to the listeners out there exactly all the times that you shared on stage live or in the recordings with Mr. Bobby G.
Well, ours is very simple. Like, listen, man, I came straight from Kansas. Church boy from Kansas, didn't know nothing about nothing, got signed to Warner Brothers, and thank God the first two people I ran into were Bobby G and John Paris. Oh, my God. Right?
Exactly. Yep.
And just from sheer love of Sly Stone and the music and the things that came before us, we went, I don't know how it ended up, Bobby, but we ended up in that studio recording a little jam of simple songs. Remember that?
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, my
I
God.
want a copy of that if you have it, man.
I still got it. I got it too, bro. I'm never letting it go. And so we went in and did a little jam session, and man, from that moment on, I mean, you know when you meet your tribe,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's that guy, and John Paris and Bobby G are two of the most consistently real. Don't change for nothing. Believe what they believe. It's not going to change. This is who they are. Cats I've ever met, and thank God, because that's what we need more of. It's like people that really stand up for just actual real music. That's nice. You know,
man,
and unflinching in their musicianship and in their dedication to their craft. I'm not trying to do too much, Bobby, but I'm just saying, just saying like it is.
No, absolutely. No, you're saying the truth. Absolutely.
You know, I haven't
seen him. Yeah, I haven't seen Bobby waver from 1988, which is when we had that jam session, all the way to now.
Yeah.
And that little music I just heard listening on the way while I was waiting. That's cold.
Yeah.
I didn't even heard that, but that's dope. That's what I'm talking about. That's my man right there.
Well, you just mentioned the word truth a second ago. Let's talk about truth for a second. Try to get this extracted 2 segments ago with Eddie M when he surprised Bobby. Now I'm going to ask you too, and don't be afraid because it's Bobby G is on the other line. But I understand that Bobby G is crazy, and I mean crazy in a good way. Now I'm going to extract out of you for all the years that you've known Bobby. Is there something you can sit there and pull out the top of your hat, the top of your mind, that you want the listeners to know exactly how crazy Bobby G was on the road?
I'll just say this. For my part, I just know that when he's playing, he's transported, and when he's writing, he's sincere. But don't fuck with him on the streets. He'll beat your ass. Talk about.
Okay, that's it. That's it. Sugar, you hear that, Miss Sugar? I love it, man.
Oh my goodness!
Do not
man.
A good guy to a fault, but don't push him and don't get it twisted.
Dig it.
That's my perspective on Bobby G. He does not play. Really passionate about his music and his life, and you don't play with the BG man.
And Bobby, let me ask you a question, Bobby. Throwing it back to you for a second, Bobby. What was your fond memory of Bam on the road or in the studio? What drew you to this man?
You know what? Like I said, how long did I rent from you? He had a studio out in where was that, Brian?
That's right. Off of Bradshaw.
Off of Bradshaw, yeah. And I was renting the other side, and man, I would knock at the door, come listen to this dude record Rain. Remember the SWV? This cat was just over there just making hits, man. I'm over next door like trying to absorb it. Just watching this dude record, man. I learned that's the truth. I would watch how he recorded, man. So, I mean,
what did you take from him?
We're next door neighbors.
And Bobby, what did you take from Eddie?
Because I could come over there and walk by and hear something ridiculous and go, "Oh my God!" Yeah. And it'd be Bobby in there by himself doing everything.
And Bobby, let me ask you this question: what did you learn from Bam, Brian Alexander Morgan, that you use in the studio today? Can you share with us?
You know what? I really like his vocal arrangements. It's just he's dope. Still can't do it, but I try to learn it. Just you're around it, and
Thank you, B.
He's thick with it, man. Yeah, boy, his vocal stuff is, and he's an incredible singer by himself. So that's another thing. He gets it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and for the fans worldwide, go on to jackiesgroove.com and scroll down to episodes on demand and enjoy the interview that I had earlier this year with Brian. Great. In fact, I think I did Brian, and then a couple episodes after that I did Jay King, or was it vice versa? And just to listen to these gentlemen that, basically they made the music. You talk about SWV, Sister with Voices, man. It's one of my favorite groups of growing up, of listening to that type of music, and to find out they're still out and they're playing and they're still killing it. There's a reason why people, again, groups like Styx, Tower of Power, Earth, Wind and Fire, Chicago, and Journey and so on are still selling out, not small venues, they're selling out arenas because of the music.
SWV just sold out Wimbledon a couple years ago. Sold out.
You dig? And that's what blows me out of the water is trying to figure out to the young players out there. I said this to Bam in our interview. The thing that's missing in today's music, gentlemen, is a thing called the bridge. And these and the the young writers out there don't understand the message of the bridge and so on. What do you think? And both of you, I'm going to pose the both questions to both of you gentlemen. What do you think it is that the young writers are missing? The thing called the bridge.
Well, they don't know how to play for one. Yeah, they don't know how to play an instrument. They're a bunch of it's the truth. They don't know how to play an instrument, so they don't know. All they know how to do is sample, come up with maybe a 4-measure groove, and let it loop all the way out.
If that.
That's it.
If that.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And I think Quincy just said it best. Quincy said it best just recently in that interview he just did, which was astounding, right, Jackie? Oh my God.
Right.
Quincy Jones interview, Bobby? My Lord.
Man,
right?
man, you know what? We were supposed to come back, Jackie, with that.
I got that, and we'll pick that up.
But man, I love that interview. I loved it. I loved it.
Zero F's to give.
Because you know what?
But he said it best when he said this. He said
what
that if
people
you
can't
don't
deal
respect
with
and know your history, you got to know your history. You got to know what foundation you're standing on. And if you don't know where you're coming from, y'all, that's the thing. You got to know. Like if I came into this game fully respecting Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, Sly Stones, and the people that came before me, and really tried to make what I was doing. Bobby, I know you can relate to this with Prince and things like that. Live up to the expectations to the bar that had been set before us. Correct?
Absolutely.
I agree, but do you think he was out of line?
You don't have that standard, yeah.
But Bam, do you think he was out of line in any way, shape, or form of what he said and the way he said it and the way he directed it?
With me, as far as I'm concerned, with Quincy, because here's the thing. I think that when you're 40 years plus into this game, 40, 50 years in, and you're on your way out the door probably of this planet, I think you should just be as honest as you can be, and that's just what he was, and I appreciate it.
Hey,
okay.
But the one thing though, what people they can't take truth. So it's like he came out, it's like he's just telling the truth. It's an interview, and he's not holding anything back. And I'm like, just speak the truth. And he's talking about Marvin. He's talking about Michael. He's like just saying this is what it is, and it's a truth.
That's right.
He wasn't out of line.
And you know what? And let me say this because I want to say this on that part. I was just with Greg Fillinghaynes a couple weeks ago at NAMM. And let me tell you something. As long as I've known Greg for a decade, and he's never, ever mentioned that little bit about Michael not giving him writer's credit for that piece on Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. That's fascinating to me because it shows how, like, there's a way you can comport yourself in this business as well, right, Bobby? Like,
absolutely.
He could have badmouthed Mike. Could have badmouthed Mike for decades, but he didn't do it. And you know what? And that's why he was still on Bad and the next record that came after, even though Michael was wrong for not giving him that 10%. But the way that he handled himself. You hear me?
Absolutely.
But
he was smart.
Do you think that was Michael that didn't give up the 10%, or do you think that was management that didn't give up the 10%?
No, that's Michael. Because he's the one. He's the one. It's his name. He's the boss. He has people working for him. They're not working for you. Understand what I'm saying? So the thing is, he should have got 10%. That bridge is dope.
For sure. Oh my God. I mean, that bridge is everything. In my whole life, I thought Quincy wrote it.
Exactly.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I thought Quincy would do that in there as a genius arranger. And believe me, when I heard that was, I called Greg. I was like, oh my God, bro. He's like, yeah, man. So at the end of the day, it just goes to show, first of all, give writers what they deserve. Number one, that goes down to Spotify and all these new streaming services. Writers are the lifeblood of the whole game. You cannot suck the blood from the writers and the producers. You can't do it and expect the game to flourish. Am I right, y'all?
Absolutely.
Yeah. In a perfect world, as they say, in a perfect world, but will it change, gentlemen? You know, what's it going to take for us as the old guys in the industry to make this?
It's changing now. Look, we just got this ruling from DC. We just only like a month ago. It's changing already. But the Spotify's and the streaming services have agreed to up their payment scale by 50%. So it's already changing dramatically.
They have to.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just think it's craziness. You know, and Bam, I want to say, Bam, thanks, man. It was so good to hook up with you, man, at NAMM 3 weeks ago. I can't believe it's already been 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Past. It was finally get a chance to, put my arms around you, give you a big squeeze, man, and thank you for being part of Jackie's Groove and making us successful. And I hope you don't mind me, Bobby, surprising him with you. There were so many more people. In fact, I'm going to throw it up right now. I'm waiting for Peter Michael to be calling in right now, but Peter's in the studio right now with Pops. He's doing Pops' new album right now. and and so on. Cool. So if he calls in, he'll be on the next segment. If he doesn't, then just know that he loves you. And Bobby, he's trying to get out, and get away from this and the board and recording with Dad.
Well, I want to say
this,
if you will. Thank you, Jackie, for even allowing me to be able to speak to my man BG. We don't get to see each other very often, so it's very, very nice. And I'm happy to be included in one of those groups of friends that you don't have to see each other every day, but you pick up right where we left off in the love.
Absolutely.
Am I right, Bobby?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good hearing
that's
you,
the way it's going to be. You too, brother. And hey, Bobby, I'm on this Drake joint, right? So look, I'm out here really representing us for like the whole next generation, bro.
Dig it. Dig it.
Cool.
Hey, Bam, thank you so much for being part of this, man. You guys, for every listeners out there, Brian Alexander Morgan, please go down to jackiesgroove.com, scroll down to episodes on demand, and listen to this amazing interview that I had with Brian Alexander Morgan, or better known as Bam in the industry. Bam, thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. Hey, Bobby, my number is the same, brother, for 25 years. Same number.
Okay, cool. We got to talk, man, for real. We got to catch up.
Hit me up, for real. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful.
Cool, man.
God bless, man. God bless. All right there, man. So, Bobby, Bobby, that's why I wanted to throw that to you, man, because it's like all these guys, when they found that you were coming on, it's due to the fact that Florentino opened his mouth and everybody wants to talk to you. Hey, let me ask you this question, man. And I asked you this, before, the break and before we brought on Bam. But with regards to Q and to Quincy,
yes.
In your opinion, do you think he was out of line? I asked that again. I'm going to ask it again without being redundant. For the fact that
Not
he is.
At all.
Okay, and why do you feel that? Okay, well, why? Share with me and share with the listeners why you feel that he wasn't out of line when he got such a huge backlash from the industry or the younger segment of players out there.
Well, we're dealing with a society that's fake. He was being truthful. He's speaking like he's talking to, we're talking right now. So if we didn't have listeners and we're like, just what it is, he just said what it is. And it was the truth. And people they don't want to hear anything. Michael's a thief. Okay. Did he do the crime? Yes. What's wrong with that? He did.
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to wrap my head around it because when I read it, I looked at it as a hired gun, not a person who, I get paid when I go in the studio to add my flavor, my instrument to that itself. So I don't get involved in that. But now being a radio guy, and people have really expressed the situation, they want to find out exactly, was Quincy out of line? I said, I don't know. I don't know the man. I don't know Q. I know people that have been blessed to work with Q, and I've been waiting a call back from Saida, who was the closest to Q of all the people that I know personally, and what she feels, about what he said. And if what he said was gospel, if what he said was made up, or what he said is because he's elderly and he doesn't give a shit and he's, again, on his way out, so he's got to say and he's going to speak the truth before he steps out. So I think I can respect the fact, I can respect the fact that you believe that what he said was the truth. I still want to find out more about it, and I want to find out more about that. But when we come back on the second segment, the last segment, I should say, segment number 6 of a 2-hour interview, I want to know all about you and what you feel and how you feel about the industry. We talked about the monetizing, but I want to make sure, and I want the listeners out there to understand, and for you to be honest, of what you feel about today's music or the lack thereof. And I want your opinion, man, because I want to, I keep a list of and a roster of who I've spoken to, and I was surprised when Jay King said that he understands the music business today, and if you don't understand the music today, you're out of the music business. And I believe in that to certain situations. And most people, like I talked to Lee Loughnane, the founder of Chicago. When I talked to Lee and I said, hold that thought, baby boy, because I want to step in because we're going into the last segment. I want to pick this up, but write that down. And it's going to be your homework to bring this up on segment number 6, the last of a 2-hour interview with my incredible guest by the name of Bobby Gonzalez. Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Media. Connect to all things music. Final hour, final segment coming up right around the corner. Guys, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Hi, Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to my good buddy Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to the final segment. Segment number 6, I have a 2-hour interview with my in-studio guest, Mr. Bobby G. Bobby Gonzalez, Jackie Bertoni. Jackie's Groove brought to you by Intertalk Radio and intertalkthemedia.com. Hey, guys, I've had a great time, and I've got so many more questions, and I got to jam them into the last final hour here because I want to find out from Bobby. And Bobby, I'm going to throw this right back to you. We talked about this on the break, and I wanted to find out exactly where we left off, but we talked about the music of today or the lack thereof. And, and you've been around the corner and back. In fact, you paved most of the streets that these young guys have walked on, or they thought their shit doesn't stink because they've got hits and so on and so forth. Now, based upon the music of yesterday versus the music or the lack thereof today, do you understand today's music? Yes or no, and why?
I understand it. And why I understand it is because I'm a musician. And I understand that there's a lack of musicality in music today. It's, once again, you have a bunch of button pushers. They don't know how to play instruments. They take a sample, loop it out, put a hook on it, rap. It's junk. I don't like it. I don't listen to the radio, to be honest. I don't listen to it. I can't.
Ask you this question. If I was to hijack your music player right now, your iTunes, or if I was to cruising a car and we took a 2-hour drive, what are we going to be listening to in Bobby G's car?
Ooh, I'll tell you right now. Hold on 1 second. Let me see.
And why also, too?
Give me 1 second. Let me see. I'm going to pull this up. Okay, so Dreaming with the Broken Heart, John Mayer. Paper Doll, John Mayer. Half of My Heart. Wait a second. Oh, yes. IGY, Donald Fagen, Georgie Porgy, Toto, Love is the Answer, England Dan, John Ford Coley, Lonely Boy, Andrew Gold, Time Will Reveal, DeBarge, Heart of Mine, Bobby Caldwell, Miss You Like Crazy, Natalie Cole, Dreaming of You, Selena, I Will Be Here For You, Michael W. Smith, Steel Commodores, Faithfully, Journey, Fantasy, Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know, that's the stuff I listen to.
Yeah, man. And it sounds like you hijacked mine, because that's, it's pretty much verbatim. When we go in there, I always say to the listeners out there, the young listeners, our demographics have really dropped in a positive way. We've dropped down into the low 20s now that are listening to Jackie's Groove. And I always tell the millennials this, and I don't want to beat it and to beat a dead horse. But you guys, the music that we grew up with, our parents that we grew up with, and Bobby and I are old enough to have kids in our 30s and so on. And what they lack thereof is the ability to enjoy a thing called Record Release Tuesday, when you're able to take a tangible CD, split that open. I mean, it only had, I don't know if you guys remember back in the day when it was a two-year run, when the CDs had a long rectangular box that it came in, and they figured the record companies, they were spending too much money. They only had a 2-year lifespan, and then it went down to the CDs. And you would rifle through the CDs on Tuesdays, and you would peel back that plastic, and you would pull out a thing called the liner notes. I talk about this on every interview, because we have to give and we have to pay homage not only to the musician that's on the front cover, but the players that made the music, the makeup artists.
I really
miss it also,
because I really missed it. I love to see who played guitar, bass, keyboards, who did the vocal arrangements, who did the mixing, where it was mixed at. I missed that.
Exactly.
I really missed that. Yeah, I missed that.
And all the years that I've had the blessings of working with Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, and that whole ability to watch a genius in the studio working his magic, but not just that, but the people that are next to him, to his left and to the right, the engineers that push the button, that's the Bernie Grubmans who master the music and so on and so forth. That's what you have to understand. And I'm so sick of this, Bobby. When you watch an award show to this fucking day, excuse my French, it's not to the very end of the award show does it show the musicians who played the music during the whole damn award show.
Exactly.
And I don't know what it's going to take to change that. We are not the afterthought. We are the thought. We are the music that's around that. I've been blessed to have interviewed and played with the best of the who's who of the industry, and based upon that situation, I still miss. I don't miss the main studios because I have a studio here in my home, but I do miss that sound of the of the ampeg of that and when there's a mistake made and that 2-inch reel is being rewound and so on and so forth. Further granted the fact that I am a slave to Logic. I'm getting the same sound of the major labels. But the thing is, I find to be very interesting. Let's try, for instance, Styx, the rock group Styx. They went back and they recorded an album. They recorded it all in analog. They didn't use plugins for digital to analog. They recorded it all in analog. In fact, the musicians brought out their old instruments to play the sounds, and which was really, really incredible. And the same with Michael McDonald, my good friend of mine. That's a new album on September the 15th called Wide Open. That's killing it. That's also recorded all in analog. So with that said, and based upon money and the expense that it costs to go into a studio or even have somebody come into Bobby G's home with a drum set and so on, when you program the drums and you have and so on, you still have to hire the drummer or someone to program the drums itself. Do you have a preference, if money is no object, to use live musicians on the recordings?
Oh, I would love that. Absolutely. What is that? Somebody trying to call in?
Yeah, someone trying to call in, Paulie.
Okay.
I think we have another special guest on.
Well, let me know when they're on.
They're on.
Let me know who it is.
It could be anyone. I think it's Peter Michael.
Peter Michael, is that you, brother?
Hell no. This is Derek DOA Allen.
Peter Michael, say hi to Bobby G. Bobby G.
Lightweight offended that how the hell y'all gonna have all these people talking to my guy and you don't call me? Bobby, you know we got a problem.
I feel bad, Derek. This is Florentino.
Now
Derek.
you know we got a problem, Hall.
Oh man, that surprised all of us.
Bobby, you know we got a problem, Bobby.
So, let me clarify, guys, because Jack, you don't even know this one. So remember,
don't worry about it. It's all good. I know that when you don't got on the phone, that's all that matters. You don't got to know who the hell I am, but I know that guy right there. That guy right there is that guy, and that's my dude.
Jackie, this is Derek Allen. Works with Jim Jackson. Bobby Brown, one of the great producers out there. Derek, brother, it's Florentino, man.
Derek, Tino, we not cool right now, man. No. We not cool, man. How dare you have Bobby and don't call me? That just don't make no sense. Y'all got to explain this.
I'm stepping out.
In my defense, I don't. The number I have for you, brother,
you my guy, man. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I just had to. I had to call in and thanks. I called Eddie M and he shot me the number.
Oh man!
And
cool,
Bobby knows, man. This is my brother, and you guys sound awesome.
My brother
is a great interview. Man.
So Jackie, to clarify, we all go back to when we were all kids, and Derek is an amazing producer, bass player extraordinaire. I don't know where the video is. Your version of Amazing Grace still moves me.
Yes.
And I don't know if I got an old number of yours or not, because I did you can ask Jackie. I did talk to him about bringing you on as we were going through the list of people to bring into this Bobby G's "This Is Your Life" episode. So
it's all good, man. It's all good.
It's a surprise to all of us. So this is a good one. This is a special event because we've never had that
Absolutely.
before.
I'll say it again. I feel like the whitest guy on Soul Train right now. I'll say it again until I'm blue in the face. I am so lost right now. I mean, I'm doing a.
I'm sorry, Jackie, man. I didn't come to me. I'm sorry I came in and bombed your show, bro.
Don't go anywhere, man.
So, Derek,
don't go anywhere.
You're a target for an episode of Jackie's show. So, get to know each other real quick.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna jump off on this. And the other one that says his best, he's doing a record right now with Pops. Is Peter Michael was going to come on, Bobby.
Right.
So
that's why I thought.
Right.
Yeah. So we that's why we thought you were Peter Michael at first there.
No, it's all good, man. I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to hold
good.
up the line. I just wanted to reach out and let my dude know that I'm listening to the interview, and man, it's a great interview. And a big shout out to Brian and Eddie M. You guys just great, man. And it's been a long time. This guy is well deserving of everything. He's the baddest, funkiest man on the planet. He's my dude. He's my neighbor. He's my brother. He's my partner in crime, and he is my dude. I love this dude to death. He's my guy. So I just wanted to say, I just wanted to reach out to him and let you know I was listening, man. And great, Jackie, man. It's good to meet you. I know you're twisted, but this is my guy.
And know that it was not my fault, man. This is all on Tino's fault, man, because Tino said,
I know.
If Derek calls in, don't answer the phone.
Tino, you know my number. Brian said his number's been the same for 20-some years. My number been the same for 52 years. My number ain't changed.
You got it, Dan. You got it.
I got love for you, brother. I got love.
Hey,
Tino, man,
Derek,
I'm going to let y'all go, man. I love y'all. Bobby, man, call me. Call me when you get off.
Derek, and I want you on the show, man, so I'll have Tino and Paul give you a call, and we'll get it all set up. So thank you for calling in, my brother. I really appreciate it, man. Much love to you.
Right on, guys. All right, let's.
Bobby, question for you. I want to ask you this question, man, and surprise, and I guarantee you there won't be any more calls in the next 5 minutes. If it is Peter Michael, hang his ass up. Don't even pick up the phone with him, Tino. So in the last 5 minutes, I'm going to ask you a question, man. And I give props to my wife. And I just love this. I love this question she came up with. She came up with this last year. If music was not in Bobby G's vernacular, if it wasn't in your vocabulary, if there was no such thing as music and or anything that's got to do with it, what would Bobby G be doing today?
Probably a preacher.
Why?
I like the Word of God. I'm always searching it. And he's been with me since I was a little kid. I've known the Lord all my life. No one had to tell me about him. I knew him when I was a little kid.
Okay.
So, other than that,
that would fill your heart.
It really is. It really is.
Let me ask you this question.
The true gospel, though. Go ahead.
The real gospel, not this.
Yeah.
Excuse my French.
Not
the bullshit
down,
that's out there.
not the watered
Thank
down
you.
stuff that's out there right now. All the fake, false prophets that are out there. No.
Let me ask you this question then.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question for you, and this is a question I came up with because I know it's been asked me many times that I've been interviewed. Where were you? Where was it? What song was it the first time Bobby Gonzalez heard himself on the radio?
First time I heard myself on the radio. Ugh.
And what were you thinking? What were you at? And what song was it?
I can't even tell you. That's a good one. I really don't know. I don't know.
Okay, it's a fair answer.
But it's it's a trip to hear your stuff on the radio. And the feeling is incredible. But I can't.
I say it never gets. I tell you.
What's the trip? Like, put it this way. I've heard like on Sheila's not the last album, the one before that. I put 3 songs on there, and she still plays it. It's a song called Rockstar.
Oh, I know very well.
And so to hear that, it's a trip. I saw her in Oakland not too long ago, and to hear her play the song, it's an incredible feeling.
Did you play on Iconic? Wow. Did you play on Iconic?
I did. I sure did.
Oh, you did? Okay, beautiful, man. That's Sheila's new album, man. In fact, Sheila's on the radar, man. She listens to the show based upon what I've been hearing from Rebecca and so on. Why she's not on yet? That's okay.
Hey. Jackie, speaking of that, we got another guest calling in right now. I know this really is. This is your life. It's a good segue. This is a really good.
This
segue.
is the most.
This is a really good segue.
This is the most. Who is this?
Hey, Peter Michael, you there?
Yes.
All right.
Mama say, Mama Saka.
Jackie.
Bobby, say hi to Peter Michael. Peter Michael, say hi to Bobby G.
What's up, Peter Michael? What's up, boy?
How are you? Who is this?
I'm good. What?
Bobby
you guys
G.
Good? Bobby G. Is it the real Bobby G?
It's the real Bobby G, baby.
There's 2. It's my dad and myself, but yeah, this is the real one.
It's the junior.
What's up? What's up, man?
Are we on? Are we on, or are we going on?
No, we're live, baby. We're live.
You're on. Oh, man.
We're live, so I'm actually speaking to the real Bobby G. Because there's a lot of there's people who want to be Bobby G. I just want to make sure this is real Bobby G.
You're live and on the air, baby boy.
This dude is crazy. I'm telling you, he's nonstop. Oh my goodness. Oh man. I haven't seen you. It's been a while, man. Jeez.
Say it again.
It's been a while since I've seen you. Since we're recording Sheila's stuff. That's April or something like that.
Yeah, that session was amazing. I just
it sure was,
because I edited that. We shot it. I just kept seeing you with Freddie Stone, and man, that day was ridiculous.
Dude, was that crazy or what? Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Incredible.
And we did this song with Freddie. We did one of the Sly songs, and
people.
I'm filming, so everybody's recording at the same time. So they all have headphones on, except me and the camera crew. So we're filming. They're actually recording the song, and Freddie Stone is singing. What they don't hear is Bobby G in the corner singing along with them, with Freddie, and he's not even supposed to be singing. And as Freddie's going, Bobby's going, and I look to the camera crew. I go, "Do you hear this dude over here in the corner?" He's just because
I was so excited.
And the main reason was because at that point we all just became fans, and we weren't even recording or filming with Freddie. We were just like if we were in the audience watching Sly the Family Stone playing, we were tripping.
Man. Oh, man. That was an incredible experience, man. It really was.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. How you been, man?
I've been great. Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to call in just to say hi, because unless I'm hiring you for something, you don't call me back.
To give credit to you, man, I thank you, man. He's the one that put me on in '91 to Mariah Carey. I got a call.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I got the gig with Mariah Carey. This cat right here, hooking me up.
Peter Michael.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Hey, Peter, I got to tell you, our interview last year, I still get, and the network gets the biggest response from the listeners when you sang "Mama Say Mama." When you say the Lionel Richie tune, "All Night Long," and they still can't believe that you actually sang the words on Jackie's Groove, which I want to thank you, man, personally, because it was one of those milestones, man, that that you actually heard the song that you've been singing for 15 years, and I do appreciate that, man. How is Pops doing?
Pops is doing good. We're actually mixing his song, his record right now. He has a new record coming out. I'm producing it, and I broke away for a second, so that's why I got to hurry up with this call because Pops is a slave driver. He's gonna make me get back in and get to EQing his timbales.
Hey, you know me and your dad. We have the same birthday. You know that, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. July 13th.
July 13th. Yeah. Pops, man.
That's cool,
still
man.
Doing it.
Yep.
Man.
Pops is still
God
doing
bless
it.
Him, man.
82 years old.
Wow.
Peter Michael, I'll say it again. Yep. I extend the invitation to Pops when this is all done. The fans worldwide want to hear from your father. So, I need to get him on the show. I want to interview him. And do me a favor, please say hi to Zena, say hi to Sheila, say hi to Juan, and give Pops and Mama big kisses for us, man. And we definitely appreciate what the Escovedo family has done for our network. And we thank you very much, brother.
Man, thanks for coming
on.
Oh, we'll do, man.
Thank you so much.
Perfect, man. God bless. I said, God bless you.
Oh, thank you, man. Bobby G, my favorite guitar player,
Hey. Thank you, man.
You know how we do.
It's all done, man.
Absolutely.
Okay, man. Peter, God bless
you, man.
God
love you guys. Talk soon.
Much love.
Love you too, man.
Hey, Bobby, the last minute and a half here. Let's just finish up. Is there any shout outs that you want to give that you feel apropos that you want to give to your sponsors out there that will be listening in and that we can forward this to the page?
My heavenly father, my earthly father, my dad and my mother, my family, my sisters, my brothers, my daughters, Nico, Ashley, my boy Derek.
I love it.
That's my boy. Yeah. Other than that, man. You had everybody come on. That was really. This is a cool interview. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it too because
2 hours that went by so fast.
It always does, man. And again, of all the people I've been blessed to interview, guitar wise, the Al Di Meolas and the Andy Summers and so on, I've enjoyed this the most. Brother Al, I'm sorry, but you've been replaced with Bobby G. It's like, and this is the most call-ins that we've ever had. In fact, I'm laughing my ass off. So, guys, do yourselves a favor, the listeners worldwide. Please, if you're not familiar with Bobby G, Bobby Gonzalez, go on to YouTube and do yourselves a favor. Put in Lionel Richie, Ellen DeGeneres, Bobby G, dancing on the ceiling, and just watch this man being played. There's 1,000 questions I want to ask him, Bobby. We want to bring you back when it's apropos and when there's something else that you want to promote, because I want to find out more things that I couldn't ask because of time constraints. So with that said, I want everybody worldwide to thank Bobby Gonzalez, better known as Bobby G, to Jackie's Groove. Brother, the doors are always open. We love you, man. I'm a big fan of your playing.
For having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, it's good. It's good to be able to curtail you, man, and to have you under our roof. So everybody, say goodbye to Bobby G, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Talk Media. Connect to all things music, and as I always say with all my broadcasts on the end, peace to music. Bobby, we love you, man. Godspeed, brother.
Thank you.
Now hang tight real quick.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.